you're treating a person. Treat the whole person. You're building a house. Build the whole house. Like, it's not functional if you don't put it all together in one spot and send it. All right, welcome back to the Pure Playbook. I am Dr. Dustin Boston here with Dr. Nate Merhout. We're excited to do another live. We've been uploading a lot of previous podcasts that have been relevant, all in the name of student athletes, their parents trying to keep up, and even as we start to tag in race world a little more. A lot of good information here on the podcast where we're just going to kind of flow and go and continue to go over information, go over some real world things that we have been experiencing, not only in the practice, but as we go throughout our daily lives, because it really is all wrapped up as we go through our dailies. There's a lot of things that, no matter what you do, it's like you always get pulled into work life, or you get questions, or there's scenarios that pop up, or people see you in the community, or if you're at a party or event or whatever it might be. It's like it's always relevant for things that come up even throughout our weekend on, yep, here's what we talked about. And we just kind of want to give insight on that too. But I think it produces for some pretty good content. But there's also going to be some things where we might derail and go off on some tangents. Like I said, we want this to be fluid as you and I continue the Pure Playbook here. But what's going on in Dr. Nate's world?
Kind of like what you said. There's been, with the transition I've had this year, there's been a lot more people asking questions that I know, just like wanting advice from me. So whether that's been people that my wife worked with, family members, seeing, that I've had a little bit of a transition, and they're like, oh yeah, he still does stuff, doesn't he? And so just like, that's been refreshing, getting some of those types of questions thrown at me. I don't mind that outside of work at all. Some people like to separate that a little bit, work from life, but I'm immersed in what I do on an everyday basis, whether it's in the office, at home, on the weekends, doing fun stuff. I was just telling a client the other day, I like going to the airport because I can people watch too.
Yeah.
And just have that mentality of looking at people and say, oh, they probably have this or that. And so it's just living the life and doing it every day. So that's kind of what's going on.
I think with the time we've had over the past couple weeks, and this is going to be a statement of encouragement, maybe some enlightening and some press for you guys kind of watching and listening on things to keep up with for your own good. But we're starting to, with everything that we're doing now, with you being here, with us doing more things together clinically, it's been a fun passion project of ours to really start to speak the language of what people need to hear as far as educating them. Because you're right. Even in the family world or on the weekends or at the track or wherever we are, we get questions. And we're at a point right now to where we're learning how to speak the language for what they're asking, because a lot of people still don't understand the big idea of what we do and what blood work should look like and what corrective care looks like, what a chiropractic adjustment is, what all it deals with. And there's so many times, and I've probably talked about this before, where it's just like we just want to educate people with a fire hose and just be like, oh, let me tell you what we do and why this is so cool and how it works. But even like you saying, like the people watching, whether you're at the airport or wherever you are, we all do it. But I think we've started to align with how can we just communicate better?
Right.
Like instead of trying to feed people with a fire hose and, people like us, and the stereotype that comes with, oh, I already know what he's going to say. He's a chiropractor. And that's not really the case. And I think we've always known that. In our heart of hearts, it's like, man, can I just sit down and just tell you everything you need to know about this for all the right reasons? But learning how to communicate, and even, one of your first track experiences with Doc Throttle happened this past weekend. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you did the same thing, but I am still listening to everybody and how to communicate in a world that I live in every weekend and love and super passionate about. in racing, there's still things I'm learning as far as the communication side. So like I said, as I prefaced this, is it's like, hopefully us being honest and transparent during this podcast, even on this topic, helps you guys really realize that we want to meet you where you're at and educate you going forward, but not just dogmatically what we would call hit you over the head with a green book and give you every chiropractic principle and why it's so awesome and why it's probably the best. And just learning to communicate has been something I think over the past few weeks since we've really started vibing and hitting our stride together with our routine that I think is just awesome.
Yeah. And with the passion that you brought up, there are times where you'll go on a rant or I go on a rant and we're talking to someone and it's like you just keep throwing all this out there because you're so passionate about whatever you're talking about. And then you're looking at the person and you're like, are they grasping what I'm trying to get across to them? Are they just like, in one ear out the other? Like, when's this guy going to stop talking? Yeah. And, figuring out that balance too, where you're giving them the information that they need, trying to show the passion that you have for what you do because you want to get them better. You have the solutions for why they're coming in. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of, what people are looking for. And we've had people just recently saying, just one, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And two, thanks for coming up with a plan so that I know what I'm doing now, what I'm working towards. We're big on creating goals in this office too, and meeting those goals. And just having people realize that, again, we're in it for the right reasons and people are acknowledging that. And that's really nice to see. And, we're not just putting something together to put it together and put you through things. It's a lot of the stuff we're doing, almost all the stuff we're doing, has really good research that backs why we're doing it, why we're putting protocols together for what you're coming in with, and getting the results that people want.
Right. Yeah, and it was something that you had said as we were talking just a couple weeks ago, really, as we're, like I said, hitting our stride together clinically as a team. And it's, a lot of people, whether it's student athletes or general population, the playbook should be just that in your health, a playbook. And you had really sent a light bulb off because I was thinking it and didn't know how to verbalize it, but you said it perfectly of everybody who has not had success in something that they're dealing with, most oftentimes we're piecemealing it. Yeah. On the way to correction. Mm-hmm. And it's just okay, if we're going to build a house and we've got water but no rock form concrete, it's well, where are we headed here? It's well, I've got the water, I soaked down the where we're going to put the foundation and got it dug out, but I still don't have a house. Mm-hmm. And it's oh, well, a couple months later, it's well, let's bring some concrete over. And it's well, it's rained and now the hole's filled back in. So I'm either just going to put concrete where it's at and say, hell with it. Let's just build it anyway. Yeah. Or we've got to redig out the foundation and the footings and then pour the concrete. So point being is it's all of the things when it comes to health and succeeding in whether you have something actively going on, if you have sciatica, you have metabolic issues, you have neuropathy, you have concussion syndrome, everything that needs to go along with that has to be within the box of the puzzle sitting there in front of you instead of trying to piecemeal it together. Well, let's try this and see how it goes. Okay, no. Now let's do this because that kind of worked, kind of didn't, but now we're going to do this because this should help too. That really didn't do anything. Okay, now let's do this instead of being here's what it takes to build the success of what it is you're looking to do, whether that's building a house, building a career, building a puzzle, or succeeding in your health. It's here it is. Yep. Here's the playbook. Here's what you have. You have stage 2 degeneration. You have concussion syndrome. Here is the list of what you have. Now, how do we fix it? Here's what you need. Put it all together in one spot. Put all the tools together to give the best outcomes and the best success possible in creating sustainable correction, not just treating symptom by symptom by symptom. You're treating a person. Treat the whole person. You're building a house. Build the whole house. It's not functional if you don't put it all together in one spot and send it.
Yeah. We're trying to give the best possible recommendations to have the best possible outcomes. And if you're coming in, why wouldn't you want the best possible outcomes? So if that's your goal and that's what you want, then let's be accepting of the recommendations that are our best recommendations to get you there. We didn't go through school just to come up with that kind of stuff, but it's like we have the background and know what it takes to get to those goals that people are coming in with. And if literally we want them to be accepting of that, and we don't just want to be the Band-Aid care,
Right.
which so many people get. And then it's like, okay, how much money are you putting out in Band-Aid care that could have been, put towards corrective care in the beginning? And, why wait just because for the sake of time and see if it goes away when we can actually correct something that we see is there underlying and go from there. And then the other piece of that is also, you might have had physical therapy, you might have had chiropractic care, you might have had massage and all these other things. And like you were saying, piecing it together, and also, was it done at the right time? With the performance rehab side of things, this exercise might be great, but it might not be great for you at this time. So giving them the direction on when that is necessary and when we transition into something else is what we want to provide for people.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, just being in a fluid conversation with this, I don't know how you feel about this, but I honestly feel that is the most common point of frustration that maybe people don't realize, is that they don't realize that they're so frustrated that I've done everything and nothing has worked. It's like, okay, well, board, nail, hammer. Hammer hits nail into board. Board, nail, hammer still at the store, use my palm. Like, yeah, that's frustrating. You feel like you have everything you need to build it, but it's not all in one spot. So it's like, I think that's truly the most frustrating thing is, and people look at it and it's like, well, I've done PT, I've had blood work done, I've done cryo, I've done chiropractic, I've done this, and I've done the influencer with all these trick stretches and exercises and lifts, and it's like nothing else has worked. I'm still not putting on any muscle. I don't have the endurance. And it's like, they don't realize that it takes a lot of times a conglomerate of things to achieve ultimate success and get the best results the fastest. The adjustment itself it always works every single time, 100% of the time. Like, we'll adjust people and only do the adjustment, and people will be like, wow, I feel better. It's like, what did you expect? Like, we're literally fixing the structure. But in order to meet the goals and meeting people where they're at, there could be more to that story for what they expect success looks like for them. Again, whether it's student athletes or that parent sitting in the stand with their legs going numb, or the mom at home with headaches, or the guys bouncing around in the race cars with hip issues and whatever else it might be. It's like, all of those things are good things to do and very wellness-oriented things to do. But could there be more to build the foundation to create sustainable success, so you don't get, you don't get frustrated, or you don't get negative, or you don't become the pessimist that, I've tried everything.
Yeah. And it could be the duration and the frequency too. Like, that is huge, where, I tried chiropractic care. Well, how many times you go? You get, I got adjusted once, I didn't think it helped, type of thing. And it's like, well, if we're trying to make change, how long did it take to get to where you are first? And it's not going to be an overnight thing for most scenarios where we're treating something. So trying to communicate that and giving them the understanding that whatever you're dealing with, most likely it's been building up over the course of weeks, months, even years. So how long do you think it's going to take to fix it?
Right.
Is it going to be weeks, months, or years? And then all the other things that come into play, your age, what you're doing every day, your occupation, stress levels has a huge thing that we could get a whole other conversation into. But all these other factors, and bringing it to light so that we're showing that, it's not just a one-time quick fix.
Right.
And, if we had the magic pill to do that, we would obviously do that for you, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So. And I mean, again, this weekend was super cool. Being in Brian Brown's rig and adjusting him at the sprint car race at Sedalia. And again, just back to the beginning of this, of just like watching and listening to what people are asking me and how they're conversating, and not being out of agreement, so to speak, and being like, oh no, I see what you're saying, but let me correct you. It's like, no. That's how they perceive. But then to watch them kind of like drop their arms and go from arm folding to this, because we were there. And one of the crew guys was literally like, yeah, I went to some guy and, they always want to just sell you a plan, and it's like, $3,000 to do and da-da-da-da. And I think there's some places out there, and there's some in every crowd, where it's just like, that's what it is. We're going to sell them on this plan. And there's really no meat, foundation, correction, sustainability, or tracking of progress and clinical relevance to that plan.
Right.
It's out there. I'm going to say it. It's out there. Cool. If that's how they want to run it, that's fine. I'm not here to speak on why and how they do that. If that works for them and they're good with that, great. But then when I started taking him through a little bit about what we do and what we look at, whether it's the blood work side of things, or it's digital x-rays and structure and function, the nervous system evaluation, like everything we do, he's like, well, that sounds like he's like, if I would have just understood that. And I'm like, well, maybe that's not what they were doing. I mean, maybe it was, and they just missed the education point. So if I get nothing across to people right now, it's like, okay, where are you at, and what is it you need to hear? Are we a good match? Are we willing to have this conversation? And where can I step in and just slowly? You can't change people's worldview. We talked about that on the way home. And I'm becoming more okay with that, because like I said, in our hearts, it's like, let me just give you everything. Like, I can help you. I know I can. Like, here's why. Here's how it's cool. But having a plan in place. Again, if we start to take the analogies and fit them into our health is very much underrated and very much uninvested in, and people don't know where to go and who to trust. But if we start to take the analogies of, I've saved up all my money, we've had a good year, I'm going to go buy my truck that I've always wanted, or we're going to finally build that house as a family, and we're going to have all these things. And it's like, would you want somebody saying like, oh yeah, I see the house you want to build, but let me just start with your countertops. I'm going to sell you the countertops because this is what you want in the countertops. It's like, that's great, but I don't even have a house yet. And then somebody else comes and it's like, oh, well, let's start with your shingles. Like, what color do you want? Do you want tin roof? Do you want green shingles? Do you want black? It's like, hang on a second. Like, wouldn't you want a plan? Like, wouldn't you want it laid out and have an option and be educated on, here's how we do it, here's why we do it, here's the materials we use, here's what you can expect, here's the timeline, here's how we're going to track that, here's how we're going to show you progress, here's the plan, here's the projected cost. Good?
Yeah. And it's fluid too. A lot of people don't realize anything in healthcare. Yeah, you can have a plan in place, but there are speed bumps along the road. Nothing with healing is just, oh, you're going to get better and it's going to be like this. There's those bumps in the road. And so that's where, evaluations and the communication in between comes into play, where, what if some questions we get, what if it doesn't take that long? What if I don't need this halfway through? And it's like, well, then it's fluid, and we have those discussions. We reevaluate and see what is needed. Some people heal quicker than others. Some people take a little bit longer, and let's call an audible, and we need to add this in now. So it's not like one size fits all, just because there's a protocol associated with it. There's those give and take within that, and that can take place each and every visit.
Right.
So it's not like we're trying to make every single thing the same every single time you come in.
Right. And here's the other thing too on that topic, because here's I think what a lot of people hate and have been burned by. And I think a little bit, again, in our heart of hearts, it's like, man, I know if we do this too, or if we add this to, like, I know they'll get better results faster. And I think there's a knife's edge there that we want you guys to know, that no matter where you go, yes, have your eyebrow raised, be a little bit on guard, but here's what we are committed to not doing. Well, I'll use the house example. It's like, yep, cool, let's build that house. And then all of a sudden they hit you with, you know what we should also do? Let's just go ahead and put up that 60 by 80 shop, and we'll load it with like 300 amps of electric, and we'll do this, and this, and we'll pour 6-foot foundation or 6-foot pads so you can bolt anything to it and put your cars on jigs and whatever you got to do in there. Let's just go ahead and add that. And it's like, whoa, like, yeah, I have some of that stuff, but that's not what I was ready to do yet. Like, that wasn't the problem. Like, some people do try to oversell, or they do try to overstep, and it's like, yes, maybe you know that, but until that becomes something that they want to do, you can touch on it and be like, hey, I know you had mentioned a shop. Is that something you want to do now? Because I think there's some people that are like, I'll do whatever you want. Let's just do it all. And great. But that has to be from them. If you try to draw it out, it doesn't work, then they're not ready for that yet. Now, at the same time, clinically, it's like, yeah, let's build all that, let's do that, but let's not put the roof on until the cabinets are in. It's like, well, okay, hang on a second. Like, no, like clinically, that just doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. If you want somebody to do that, I'm going to have to refer you to another builder that might do that. I just can't see how that's going to work.
Yeah. And from a clinical and a professional standpoint, the recommendations we're giving are the same exact recommendations we would give to our spouse, our mom, our dad, whoever it might be, family members, people that are very close to us, that we want them obviously to get the results within the shortest period of time and have the sustainability, once they've gone through the treatment plan. And so we want to treat you and the people that are coming in and give the recommendations that we would give the people that we love and care about too. Yeah. Because we do love and care about the people that we're working with.
Absolutely.
And that's where the passion comes in, is because, and we were also talking about this, trying to separate and not trying to be too emotionally attached with certain things. And if it didn't necessarily go the way that you wanted it to, where they, weren't really wanting to start with some treatment or wanted to do it a little bit different than what you were recommending, having not to try to take that personally.
Right.
It's like you're trying to do the best for them, and they ultimately have to make the decision for themselves. And that's another big thing is, make the decisions for you, because you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else that's around you. Yeah. And I think that's key, and that's why we're giving the recommendations that we're giving. We're trying to get you to where you want to be as quick as possible. Yeah.
Not only based on your health, but based on the goals and the requirements of what you have to do every day, what you desire to do every day, and who's around you, who's depending on you. So bringing this full circle, as and giving a little bit of our passion and some of our insight, and just being raw and honest with you guys with some of the things that we've gone through over the months and even over our careers. You could shape this back into, this is how we deal with student athletes. This is how we deal with general population. This is how we deal with their parents. This is how we deal with professional athletes. This is how we deal with other doctors in the community. This is how we deal with anybody who comes in our doors, but also be mindful and shape some of this conversation and use it to your advantage in your own world. We talk about, having the passion and not being able to close somebody who's not open, or not being able to change people's worldviews. Like, insert team dynamic here. It's like your buddy's got all the talent in the world, but he's been booting balls, he's not hitting well, he's not catching, he's whatever it might be. And it's like, hey man, like, why don't we go to the cage? Like, let's hit, let's see if we can dial it in a little bit. No, I don't want to. It's like, yeah, but you could be so much better, and it's your junior year, you're going to be scouted. Like, sometimes it's frustrating, even as a teammate or even as a parent. It's like, man. And it's just like, we know you want to put on weight. You say you want to put on weight, but all you're doing is watching these videos, and you're trying to do the shortcut, and we're willing to give you what you want. It's like, sometimes it's even hard for us to get our kids. It's like, Doc, I'm all in. Like, I want them to do this. And we always ask anybody, but especially student athletes, like, I turn to them and say, is this something that you want to do? Right. Like, I can help you, but are you committed to doing this? I don't want you to waste their time or money, and I don't want you to waste your time. Like, so it's totally up to you, but it can be frustrating. Or, at work, it's like, oh, Sally's missing another day at work. She's got a migraine again. And it's like, here, like, can I help? And they're just like, oh, no, I'd rather miss work. And it's like, oh man, that's kind of astounding. Yeah. Everybody's story is a little different. However, I think there is a big component of, they feel like they've tried everything. I've done all the practices. I've done all the T-swings. I've done all the routes and catches. I've done all the bullpens. I've tried all the medication. I've tried the PT. I've done this. I haven't lost this. And it's just like, again, you go to plan, timing. Are they ready for that? Exactly. And what are they committed to getting out of it? And that's why it's like, the world's not so different. Just insert genre or topic or subject here. Yeah. But I think there's a lot to, even in our world and what we're trying to portray, it's like, I've always said perspective being my favorite word. And if we just sit here and banter about and go back and forth of, here's how healthcare ties to real world, here's how, our ultimate goal is to have people not just invest in their health, but invest, I'm not even going to say invest. We want you to be the healthiest person you can be, because in a world like today, when I ask the question of do we believe we're getting healthier, do we believe we have all the resources that we need, know, and trust, and nobody raises their hands. Do we feel like we're getting healthier in this country in any aspect of the word? Do we feel like our kids are being raised in a better world than it's ever been? Nobody raises their hands. So, just empowering people to be like, if it's not us, great, but hopefully some of this will, whether you're a parent of a student athlete, a parent, a grandparent, general client, I don't care if you're seeing this for whatever reason, just know that there is something, no matter what it is in life, there is success out there for you to have. And sometimes you just got to learn a little bit, see what aligns with you, and have people help you through that process to ask better questions, get better answers, and maybe have a little bit of a mind shift where it's like, I've done all that. There's nothing else to do. Oh, that makes sense. Maybe all the puzzle pieces weren't in the same box together, allowing me to build the picture I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Along the same point, it takes time. It's just like building the puzzle. It's like you're not just going to get it done like that. Putting every piece together at the right time, putting the time in to make the change, whether it's in your health, in life, in the game, on the field. You got to put the time in.
Right. And no matter what, this is not a religious statement. Huge Jesus lover here. Don't care. I'll preach it all day long. But for the sake of just making this relevant, I think it's an important statement. So I'm going to use the word faith. Okay. And yes, I'm going to mean it in both regards. But no matter what you do, okay, take the religious side out of it because that's not where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. Is sometimes you have to have faith, and some people say, oh, you have to have blind faith. It's always blind faith. Faith is having having the will and desire to do what it takes to do without knowing or seeing if it's actually going to work, and just having faith that it is. Mm-hmm. If I put my best foot forward, if I do my research, if I do my due diligence, if I ask all the questions and I want to fix this, there is a leap of faith involved, understanding that there's things that I can't see. It's no different than somebody not having a symptom. One of the guys at the track was like, no, man, I feel good. I don't have any pain or anything. And he ended up getting adjusted because he's like, you adjust people even though they don't have issues? I'm like, well, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, that's kind of weird for me. He's like, maybe I was just brought up differently. Willing to have the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. He wasn't like, no, I'm good. And just willing to have the conversation. I was like, how long you been with Brian racing? He's like, oh, too long. He's like, we're at each other's throats all. I was like, okay. I was like, how often do you maintenance the car? He's like, oh, man, come off the track, at home, like we're always nut and bolt. I said, why? Well, we don't want it to fall apart. Talk to other guys, I've, helping the gun takers, helping, or even in the batting cages with some of the baseball kids. It's like, why do we work on this? Well, because we don't want it to fall apart. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so you're telling me that you can do this, and if you find a loose bolt, you can fix it now so the front axle doesn't fall out of it. He goes, yeah, exactly. I was like, well, if it wasn't wobbling, it wasn't, wasn't bent, didn't look bent, ride heights were good. It's like, yeah, but you still want to check. And I'm like, and he goes, whoa. Yep. He's like, maybe I should get checked. And I was like, it's not based on symptom or a visual or, your health is dynamic. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean there's not something building, brewing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean there is, but is it worth getting checked to figure it out? Yeah. I don't have a cavity yet. You're still brushing your teeth.
Yeah. Why do they take annual blood work?
Yeah.
So same concept.
Right. So it's fun to have those conversations, and it's things like that I want people to know and hear that we do deal with all the time, because maybe somebody listening to this today is going to be like, now that makes more sense. It's not that we want to keep you coming back. It's that you deserve to be the healthiest version of you, because if you don't have kids yet, you probably will. If you don't have grandkids yet, you probably will. There's places you want to go, things you want to see, people you want to impact, groups you want to give back to, and you cannot do it if you're not physically capable or here. Mm-hmm. So why not have the best quality of whatever it is, car, life, financials, whatever, like why not have the best quality of whatever you can have? That way you can have and live the life you want to live. Like everybody's journey's different. Your story's different than mine, right? My story's different than Sam's, my wife's story. However, you still deserve to have the best opportunity possible, no matter what you're playing or where you're at in life, to enjoy what you want and love to do, as long as you want and love to do it at a capacity and at a level you want and love to do it at, and what you expect for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the other most frustrating part, is they've tried everything, and now they know that they're not the man or woman they used to be and can't do or attain the things that they want and love to do. And that is the next depressing part of it all, which as an athlete, I can't run faster than him. I'm not that flexible as a dancer. I'm not. Insert excuse crutch here. Maybe your story is just a little different. Take action. Invest in yourself financially, time-wise, however it might look. Get the answers and be the best version of you can, but have faith in knowing that you don't have to see it to fix it. If it ain't broke, don't break it. Mm-hmm. It's not if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't break it. Maintenance, 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 lifestyle, routine. Give yourself what you expect, and you'll live the life you expect.
Yeah. Have faith.
All right. Well, I think we should stop there. My soapbox is just going to keep getting higher and slippery.
I was just letting you go. And I was like, praise Dustin.
Sometimes I can read his face. He's like, I got something to say. This time he's like,
I was just listening.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Hope you guys have a great start to your week. Social medias are going to start popping off even more. I'm trying to become the guru. I'm trying to post more reels, not only for the practice and things like that, but even in the race world, there's a lot of cool things happening there. I'm glad you were able to come. I'm glad you came with me.
Got some good shots, all angles.
On short notice.
Some probably won't be posted.
There's some that probably will not be posted for sure. But Doc Throttle on Facebook there. Dr. Nate and I are both on the social medias. Feel free to follow us. We've got some cool stuff lined up coming out. Hope you have a great start. Hope everybody's back in school having a good time. Fall sports, all the good things. About to get busy. Have a great start to your week, guys. See ya.